Hello guys, and welcome to another UFC video. Today we'll be covering and breaking down UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Erceg in Mexico City. Man, I'm so pumped and excited for this card. Hopefully it's going to be good and entertaining card. But without wasting any more time, let's kick things off with our first fight of the night. We got a lightweight bout between Markel Medeiros and Austin Hubbard. We got Medeiros coming in with a record of 9-1-0, 6 KO/TKO wins. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He won his UFC debut in his Dana White Contender Series appearance. We got a good striker here, but he needs to control the pace and the distance. He has good control at the cage. He has some decent takedown defense. On the other hand, we got Austin Hubbard. He's 17-8. He's not the greatest UFC fighter out there. He needs to pressure Markel Medeiros if he wants to do anything. He has good strikes. He is good at pressuring, like we saw in his last fight. Even though he lost to Alex Hernandez, it was a split decision, so it was a very close fight. But he will definitely be a fighter that will push you back, and that's something that he's definitely going to need against Markel Medeiros here. For my prediction for this fight, I actually got Medeiros winning here by decision. This is going to be a fun scrap to watch. But it's going to be very ugly. No flow whatsoever, I think. But I think Medeiros will get the win here. Anyway, moving on. Our second fight of the night is another lightweight bout between Jamal Emmers and Gabriel Miranda. Dude, I feel like Emmers is going to completely dominate Miranda here. He's 28-0. He is coming off a loss where he got TKO'd by Landwehr. It was a good fight. He did start good in that fight, but I still think that he has enough with his good footwork and his great boxing. He is a decent wrestler and has some good takedown defense, but he will definitely need to push the pace here and get into chaotic exchanges where he's definitely gonna get the better shots in those, and he's gonna want to stay on the feet, definitely for sure. He has been very inconsistent in the UFC, but I don't think Gabriel Miranda is a UFC caliber fighter. He is 17-7. He's coming off a loss to Morgan Charrier where he got brutally KO'd. He's a good grappler. He's definitely going to want to start the fight on the ground. His UFC debut was against Benoit St. Denis, which is a crazy debut start, especially how good St. Denis has been. If he wants to win, he's going to need to keep this fight on the ground, and he's going to want to take this to the distance, you know. He does have a glass chin, though. That's why I think Jamal Emmers is going to win by KO/TKO here. That is my prediction. Sweet. For the third fight of the night, we got Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel. We got Rafa Garcia, good striker. He's 16-4. He's coming off a loss to Grant Dawson, I think that's his name, where he got finished. And then on the other hand, we got Vince, who's coming off a 2-fight loss streak. He's definitely declining. He's a little older. What am I talking about? He's very old. He does have decent defense. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sean Strickland defense. He is a UFC vet, and he's going to have that experience out there in the cage over Rafa Garcia. But since he is older, he's a little bit slower too. Rafa Garcia is a good striker. He's kind of slow. He's kind of stiff too. But he is very patient, and he's going to let Vince come to him, and he's going to counter him. Rafa Garcia, like I said, is kind of slow, but he'll definitely have the speed advantage over Vince. For my prediction, I definitely think Rafa Garcia is going to win here. And I also think that this fight is going to go the distance, and it's going to go to a unanimous decision win to Rafa Garcia. Perfect. Moving on to our first and only women's fight of the card between Lupita "Lupi" Godinez versus Julia Pilastri. This is going to be a very lopsided fight in my opinion. Lupi Godinez has fought better opponents. She is coming off 2-fight loss streak, but she lost to 2 championship contender caliber fighters. Pretty sure one of them was Mackenzie Dern, and then the other one was, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Jaridoba or something like that. She's a great wrestler, good striking. She like I said, she did lose her last 2 fights, but they were good performances, and she's very good at putting the pressure. Julia Pilastri, on the other hand, is coming off a win over McKenna in a split decision where it was a very close fight. She's a very slow starter and very hittable. I just don't think that Julia Polastri is on the same level as Mackenzie Dern and or Jari Doba, you know? So I got Lupi Godinez winning here. She has a hard time getting finishes, but I have a feeling she's going to get a KO/TKO win here. But yeah, moving on to our next fight. We got a featherweight bout between Christian Rodriguez and Melquiazel Costa. Dude, Costa made me lose my parlay when we went to UFC Seattle with my cousin Ivan. He pulled a submission over Andre Philly. He's really good on the feet. He's a super fast starter. He will combo the hell out of you. He's very technical on the ground, and he has very good takedown defense. And he is coming off a 2-fight win streak, both being submission. On the other hand, Christian Rodriguez, man, this guy is a prospect killer. I think he's beat Raul Rosas Jr. and some other prospects, like his last fight over Bashi, where he did win by decision. He does have good takedown defense as well. He's a decent striker. The thing that stood out to me the most is how composed and relaxed he is, and he won't force anything. However, Costa's such a technical fighter on the ground that I think he's gonna pull his third submission win. That's my prediction for this fight. But yeah, perfect. Moving on to our next fight, we got Jose Daniel Medina going against Atiba Gautier, or however you pronounce his name. We got another African prospect here. I fell into the hype of Josiah Muzaza, very similar upcoming to the UFC as Atiba Gautier, and Josiah Muzaza's got submitted and he got destroyed. But I don't think that's going to happen in this fight. Atiba Gautier has some heavy punches. He's super strong, very athletic for his physique. He has good takedown defense, super aggressive, and he is on a 5-fight win streak with all of them being KO/TKO wins. It is his UFC debut, but it's going to be against Jose Daniel Medina. I don't want to say he's nobody, but he's not a UFC caliber fighter. He's coming off a 2-fight loss streak, both by unanimous decision, where he did take some heavy shots. He is a very durable fighter, and he's kind of slow, but I think Atiba Gautier is going to be able to outstrike him and is going to be able to damage this guy. So I got Atiba Gautier winning by KO/TKO. I think he's going to get the knockout over Medina here. And yep, perfect. For our next fight, we got Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. Edgar Chairez is super fast. He's huge for the flyweight division. He has crazy kicks, good defense. He had a crazy fight with Joshua Van, super fun. And then on the other hand, CJ Vergara, he's fought against everyone. He's coming off a 2-fight loss streak where he got KO'd in one and he got beat by unanimous decision in another one. He will put the pressure. He's just a tricky fighter to fight. I don't even know how to describe him. I feel like this fight is going to stay on the feet, and I feel like Edgar Chairez is going to finish the fight with a KO win, and that is my prediction for this fight. So yep, and this concludes the prelims. Now we move on to the opener of the main card. Ronaldo Lazyboy Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Man, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I think Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to dominate in this fight. He's coming off a 7-fight win streak. He's 2-0 in the UFC with a great submission win in his UFC debut. And then a great comeback win in his previous fight where he actually got knocked down and was losing. And he came back and won the second and third round. He's a very durable fighter. He's a freaking dog, man. He has great grappling. He's very technical. And he has pretty good ground and pound. Just the thing that worries me a little bit is that he's a little too static. And Kevin Borjas, I think, is going to be able to find some openings here and there. Especially because Kevin Borjas is a little faster on the feet. He has a crazy flying high knee. And he's a pretty decent striker. However, I don't think he's going to have enough to beat Ronaldo Rodriguez. So I got him winning here. And I feel like he's going to get a submission on Kevin Borjas. I feel like Kevin Borjas is going to start with getting some better shots. And Ronaldo Rodriguez will scrap out with him. But I feel like his game plan into this fight is scrap with him for a little bit, test the waters. And he's just going to move to the ground and we'll get a submission here. Perfect. And then the next fight of the main card will be David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. We got David Martinez, who's coming off a 7-fight win streak, 5 of those being KOs. It is his UFC debut. His main job is actually a surgeon, which is kind of cool. Fun fact there. Anyway, he's light on the feet. He has some crazy leg kicks, and he's pretty good at counter punching. He has great power behind the strikes. And then on the other hand, we got Simon Oliveira. He's coming off a 2-fight loss streak via KO/TKO, and the other one was unanimous decision. His last fight was in January of 2023. He's not very active. He will shoot takedowns, but he does have some careless striking. I feel like David Martinez is going to be able to KO Simon Oliveira, especially after him being inactive for so long. He's gonna have a little bit of that, what do they call it, ring rust, I think, and David Martinez is just gonna come out here and KO him. So yep, that's my prediction. Martinez getting the KO win here. Perfect. For our next fight, we got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. Raul Rosas Jr. is coming in with a 3-fight win streak. He's 4-1 in the UFC. He's a great grappler. He has good footwork. He's been improving a lot, and he's been gaining a lot of UFC experience at such a young age. And then we got Vince Morales, who's coming off a 2-fight loss streak, both being by unanimous decision. And he has lost his last 4 UFC fights. This is going to be a layup win for Raul Rosas Jr. I don't think Vince Morales will be able to do anything here to beat Raul Rosas. So I think Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be able to pull a submission win here. So yeah, moving on. We got Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Oh man, this is going to be such a fun fight to watch. They both have great output. It's going to be a scrap. We got Kelvin coming off a win over Rodriguez by unanimous decision. He is 20-9 in the UFC. He has a very good gas tank. He's very durable. He's going to need to put the pressure in this fight, not let Joe Pyfer control the range here. He is a really good boxer, and he has some great fights under his belt. On the other hand, we got Joe Pyfer, been building a pretty good resume. He's coming off a win over Barry Ut, where he got a KO win. He's 13-3. He's a great striker, decent grappling, and he always starts pretty fast and will have a good start. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Kelvin. I think that Kelvin has a great chin, and even though Joe Pyfer is a crazy striker, I don't think he's going to be able to knock him out. For my prediction in this fight, I think that Gastelum is going to get the win here, and I do feel like it's going to go the distance, and Gastelum is going to get the win by decision. Sweet. Moving on to our next fight, we got Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. We got Manuel Torres 15-3. He's coming off a loss to Ignacio Bojamondes, where he got brutally KO'd. Yeah, he's a reckless striker. He does pack a punch though, and is very, very dangerous. But his chin does worry me a little bit, and that recklessness too. But on the other hand, we got Drew Dober. He's a UFC vet. He has good experience. He's 27-14. I feel like he is declining. He's going to be a little slower. His durability is going to be a little lower too. He has a good kickboxing, and I feel like that's going to be his game plan here. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Manuel Torres. So I got Manuel Torres winning here by KO/TKO. I feel like this fight is going to be kill or get killed, and this fight will not go the distance. It will either be Manuel Torres getting knocked out or Drew Dober getting knocked out. But I got my pick and my prediction on Manuel Torres here. Sweet. And then for our main event of the evening, we got Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. We got Brandon Moreno coming off a win over Amir Albazi, where he completely dominated him. He looked super good. Everything about Moreno in that fight looked amazing. It was a unanimous decision, but it was a scrap. Brandon Moreno's boxing looked great, super crispy. And then we got Steve Erceg, who's 12-3. He's coming off a 2-fight loss streak, where in one he got KO'd, and then the other one it went to unanimous decision. His most notable performance was against Pantoja, where it was a very close fight. Steve Erceg does have decent grappling, and he is a good striker, but I don't think none of his techniques or skills are better than Brandon Moreno. I think Moreno has the upper hand in all the categories, and this is going to be a very fun fight to watch. It's going to be a scrap. I'm not sure if Brandon Moreno is gonna want to take the fight on the ground with how good and crispy his boxing looked in his last fight. I feel like this fight will stay on the feet and Brandon Moreno will get a win here. But yeah, for my prediction for this fight, I got my boy Brandon Moreno winning here by KO. It's a little bit of a long shot, but with that momentum he's carrying from his last fight and how good his boxing looked, I feel like he's gonna be able to clip Steve Erceg. I mean, he doesn't have the same power as Kai Kara France, but I have a gut feeling that Brandon Moreno will get a KO here. But yep, that will conclude our picks for Fight Night in Mexico City. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be such a fun card to watch. There's going to be some very exciting moments. But alright guys, that will conclude our picks for Fight Night in Mexico City. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be such a fun card to watch. There's going to be some very exciting moments. And again, thank you so much. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Adios.